Hey, Alicia.
Hey, Kimberly, can you hear me okay?
I can. We have a lot going on over here, so I'm probably going to leave my video off.
Okay, I'm in the same boat.
Neighborhood children.
Yep, we've got transitions about to happen at my house any minute now, so,
Yep.
oh, I'm a little nervous.
I think
I'm
everybody
like
might
used
have
to doing
gotten
this
used
at
to
my
it.
work. I'm like, whatever, I'm volunteering now. I should be more nervous. Oh, oh, there's Paul.
Justin's here too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have to mute to overcome the screaming children outside.
Yeah, I think everybody's gonna be in the same boat. It's dinner time too, so. Okay, what did we call that?
So did you update the roles and responsibilities, or was Sarah doing that, or
I
were we just
kind
going
of,
to show last year's? And
I'm showing last year's. I changed a bit. I've got them on a slide instead of a piece of paper or a Google Doc. Um, and then I just put, even though we're stepping down, I just put our names from last year's just so everybody knows that the roles were filled last year, and I got little stars next to them. I think only Sarah was the only one that said, I don't know what Nicole's thinking. Let me watch. Oh, juggling things here.
yeah, it's all just too much.
Come on, where are you? Here we are. We got more people. Admit. Hey, Rob.
Mommy, it didn't have battery, so you need to sign in again. But we're using this portable, we're borrowing this portable charger to charge the computer.
Okay, hold on.
So we need you to log in.
I know.
Okay.
Okay. Here you go. Here you go.
Thank you. What? Minecraft isn't showing.
And go back to it, buddy.
I can't, because it isn't showing Minecraft. Oops. It isn't showing Minecraft on here.
I don't know. Did you delete it?
I don't know. Then it's just extending.
Go.
Thanks.
Hi, this is a mic check.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Hi, everyone. Now we're just waiting for folks. I expect to see a few people trickle in, so I'm going to probably get officially started in about 5 after. So thanks for hanging out for a little bit.
Hi, Alicia or Nicole, is there an agenda that might get posted?
Yep, I've got one right here. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to finish that up just to get that out here. And just give me a couple seconds.
No
Is there
worries.
something you need to see on the agenda before
No, I just figured if we're waiting, that we would just have that up for folks to sort of
Yep.
anxiously read and formulate their statements.
Yep. I agree. I actually just typed it over right now, sorry. Getting off work just like everybody else, Aaron. So I will put it up in just a second here, and just so y'all can get a sense of where we are at. Let me...
And just so you know, there were just a couple of pings on Facebook. And I know I was a little late with my reply. I apologize regarding the live stream, but I am pushing this to the YouTube, and it's now going to Facebook. It's not coming through the Zoom, but I'm doing a capture that's separate, but it's going to get there anyway.
Sounds good. Sorry, I need to switch over here real quick. There we go. Now I can present my screen. Let's see, we've got 12 folks on here. We had quite a few people say they were interested or said they were interested in attending. Is everybody able to see the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, I can see it. And I'm just messaging out a few folks on Facebook who want the Zoom link, so I'm just sending it to them right now.
Thank you, Paul. After we get started, hey, Rob, you're my tech help, right? I'm going to give you control of the meeting maybe after we do the breakouts here, just in case people end up in the waiting room after we get started. You could maybe take a look at that and let people in. Would that work? You're muted.
Oh, I just realized one of the people that contacted us on Facebook is a bus friend. I didn't realize we were both at the same school.
Oh, fun.
Hey, buddy boy.
I want to pause the show.
Oh, you can just pause it on the YouTube or take the control with your iPad.
Yeah, I did. I just accidentally picked my nose.
That's fine. So go wash your hands. Go wash your hands.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Just go wash your hands. It's okay.
Points for the total number of parents who might be interrupted during a PTO meeting for screen time support. I know I am in that realm. Do we have, do we know, oh, Diego, you're here, correct? Sorry, I can't see everybody now.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay,
and I know,
great.
I believe Linda was joining us. I'm not sure if she is. Brianna cannot join us this evening.
Okay.
And then just so you all know too, I need to leave at 6:30, and I believe this was scheduled till 7, but unfortunately I have to be out at 6:30.
Well, you're right at the top of the agenda, so that works out. So we're good. Seeing how we got 12 folks or 11 folks, looks like we might have people that jump in and jump out. We'll go ahead and get started and just do some introductions. We might have other folks who drop in the next little bit here. Paul, you're streaming on Facebook. Oh, I gotta let Rob back in. Rob. So I'll just, a couple of little side notes here. It's super helpful. I'm saying this more for myself than anybody else. If you have a little box here, you can say your name up in the box. If you click on the little ellipses next to where it says mute, if you find your picture, you can rename yourself. So I'm just gonna, for the sake of this meeting, rename myself, and I'm gonna put my pronouns right here, just for example. And that'll help me as a facilitator call on you. And also, if you happen to be joining us by phone and don't have access to be able to change your name, if you feel free to just speak up. I also, if I can't see your face and you want to say something, feel free to just jump right in. I do these meetings a lot with my work, and I am such a visual person. I love to be able to see faces because it tells me if you are about to say something but you haven't said it yet, I know I can call on you, and because you'll have something to say. So I appreciate all of those who are joining us and doing a little bit of that. But why don't we start with introductions? If I was more on top of my game, I would have started with a little circle, but I don't have a circle here. So I'm just going to call on folks to oh, yeah, Rob, thank you. I'm going to give you remote access in just a second. And there, you got it. Thanks. So quick, before we start introductions, just quick on roles. I'm doing the facilitation. I'm terrible at facilitating Zooms and doing anything else. So this is me stumbling through that in this moment. Rob is my tech assistant. So he'll be monitoring chat, also the waiting room, and potentially can be helpful if anybody has trouble sort of engaging within our meeting today. Paul's working a little bit on the outside tech, so he's got us streaming on YouTube as well as linking that into Facebook. So thank you so much for doing that. Why don't we just start with introductions? You can just share your name and your children and grades and how you're feeling today. I will go first as an example. So, and I'll call on you. I'll go by the boxes here, and we'll just do it that way. So I'm Alicia Ranney. I've got, for the first time, 2 kiddos going into Bancroft. I've got a kindergartner and a 3rd grader going in. And honestly, I'm a little frazzled. It's been a very long day. This will be my 5th meeting for today, and I've been on Zoom all day, so it's lots of time. But I love being here. I'm excited about the school year, and a little anxious and excited for next week. Nicole, you're right below me on my Zoom land here. Maybe you can go next.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm the PTO co-president with Lisha for the time being. And we have 2 kiddos, Dylan, who's going into 3rd grade, and Lou, who will be a 1st grader, and my wife, Monica, works with 2nd and 3rd graders. Also, I have to leave early as well. There's a community thing at George Floyd Square. So I will have to dip out early as well, but hopefully I'll be able to stay for enough of it.
Let's do Paul.
Hi, so my name is Paul. I've got one student in grade 1. I almost said kindergarten. He was kindergarten last year. We're grade 1 now. Miss Tiffany's class. We got an email from her. He's excited. And I'm sorry, I was actually doing text. So I wasn't sure. Was I supposed to share something else, or was that enough for now?
I think that's enough for now. That's good.
That works. I'll be doing some talking later anyway. I'm on the agenda. So I'm looking forward to meeting with all of you.
Renee?
So hi, I'm Renee. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I have a 1st grader, Madeline, a 3rd grader, Liliana, and a 5th grader, Amelia, and then I have a 7th grader who was at Bancroft a few years ago. So.
Let's do Aaron.
Hi, I'm Erin, she, her, and I have Imogen, who is a second grader.
Rob?
Hey, I'm Rob Scoro, he, him, and I have two kids, Ivan and Ruby at Bancroft. Ivan's in kindergarten starting this fall, and Ruby is going into third grade as well.
Kimberly?
Sorry, I was trying to turn on my video there. Hi, I'm Kimberly, and Justin is the top of the head you can see behind me. And we have Henry, who is going into kindergarten.
Hey,
And like
Aaliyah,
you, Alicia, I have the same thing going on today. This is
you gotta
my
come to the
7th
meeting.
Zoom meeting of the day. So my eyes kind of hurt. But I'm glad to be here.
Great. Let's do Jason.
Jason hasn't gotten his mic working, but he has a third grader, Sven, and Edie is going into first grade as well.
Great. Natalie.
Hi, this is Natalie. Apologize for not being on video. I'm cooking at the same time and you guys don't want to see the state of my kitchen. I've got a first grader, Charlotte, and she's going to be in Miss Lewis's class.
Thank you, Natalie. Michael?
This is actually Michael's wife. This is Mary. We have a kindergartner starting, so we just thought we'd hop on and listen. Well, actually, he took the kids. I didn't really know what we were doing, so I was like, all right, I'll listen in.
Thanks for joining. Linda.
Hi, this is Linda. I have Aaliyah with me. She's going to be in Jill's kindergarten class. And we have the video off because we're just running around crazy.
That's fine. Welcome. And Diego.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody, or good evening. My name is Diego De Paz, and I'm the principal here at Bancroft. I have 3 children. They don't go to Bancroft, but I have my oldest is going to be in third grade. And then I have my 5-year-old twins that are going to be starting kindergarten this year. And so we're also in this distance learning adventure, same as all of you. So hopefully we'll get as much information as families need and work together to persevere through all of this. But I'm glad that you could all join us this evening.
Thanks, Diego. I'm going to share real quick again my the agenda for today. Oh, host is disabled screen sharing. Oh, Rob, that's okay. I think that was probably my fault.
No. I'm sorry. I'm having terrible glitches with Zoom.
Oh, funny. Do you want to just hand it back over to me? Can you, or I can probably take.
I don't think I can. Like, it's
here, let me see.
Not working at all now.
Oh, fun. Let me see if I can take back host. Sometimes I'm able to do that. Where are you? Well, oh yeah.
It's under the participants tab, bottom right corner.
Reclaim host, found it. I
Yeah.
got it. And I'm going to admit all, there's some waiting room votes here. We got some new folks who are joining us now. Thank you so much for waiting. Folks who just joined. Welcome. All right, thanks. Sorry, we had a bit of a host transfer and then we got stuck. For the folks that just joined, I am looking at your names for just doing quick introductions. If you don't mind introducing yourself, sharing your name and your kids, what grades they're going to be going into. I'll start with Melissa Hanson. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Oh, sure. Hi, I'm Melissa and I live in Powderhorn, and my son Drake is going into kindergarten.
Welcome, Melissa. I'll skip over to Megan.
Yep. Hi, I'm Megan Olson Biebighauser, and I have a rising second grader, Francis.
Welcome, welcome. We'll go over to Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren Lewis, and I have Lena who's going into kindergarten.
Welcome, Lauren. And I think we've got Joan.
Hey, do you mean me? I'm Joanne.
Joanne, thank you.
I just joined.
We're just doing
I didn't
brief
hear the question. I literally
introductions.
just entered
It's
the
just
meeting.
name and your kiddo, what grade your kiddos are going into.
Oh, great. I have two kids that are starting at Bancroft for the first time. They're going to be in the High Five program. Their names are Simon and Marceline. They're twins.
Nice.
And I won't be able to join the whole meeting because of dinner, but I'm listening in as much as I can.
Great. Thank you for joining us. Eduardo?
Hi, sorry for joining late. My name is Eduardo, and I have a son going into third grade, and my daughter's going to be in high five.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. It's been a long time since I've talked to you, Ed.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just, I think that might be everybody. I'm gonna try to pop in and pay attention to the waiting room. If you end up logging out and logging, just give me a few minutes. I will try to keep an eye on that. I minimize my participants so I can do other things here, but I'm gonna briefly share just our agenda for today. We've got, we just did some introductions. We'll be starting off with talking a little bit about ways in which you can connect to Bancroft. So I'm going to put Diego on the spot. And hoping, Diego, you could share a little bit about site council and any other pertinent news or information you think it'll be helpful for families to know kind of going in. We'll move there to Nicole to talk a little bit about some community building activities and plans we have just to get the school started off in a good way. And then we'll be moving into Paul at that point and just sharing out a pilot idea we have for helping keep parents connected during remote learning. And lastly, we've got some open PTO leadership roles coming up, and we'll have elections at the next meeting. But we just wanted to sort of throw that out there, let folks know that these positions are available, what they are, and all of that. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so I can see everybody again. And I'll hand it over to you, Diego, to talk a little bit about ways to connect with Bancroft.
Sure, thanks, Alicia. So I guess I just want to start by acknowledging how goofy a start of this year is, and it's definitely unprecedented, and we're starting a year in a way we've never ever started before. And so I just want to also say thank you to everyone for your patience as we do try and navigate these crazy times and learn this new way. I know we did some of this in the spring, but it's definitely a lot different now going into to start this school year. We've never started this way. So trying to do all of the logistical pieces and plan a socially distanced back to school event and get everything up and going has been quite a task. And so I'm not asking for pity or anything like that, just some empathy and grace and flexibility. So I want to thank you for that, first of all. Just kind of some basic things. Hopefully everyone has gotten a postcard from their child's incoming teacher. That was something that was supposed to have gone out already. So hopefully you know who your child's teacher is. We will be having, like I said, a back to school event that has been posted up on our webpage and also sent in School Messenger. And I will say that School Messenger has been having some issues, and so it's not always being fully updated. So if you have not received school district emails or emails from Bancroft from the School Messenger, you can also go on our website and update your information. There's a link on the side panel to update your School Messenger information. So we will be having our back to school event for grades 1 through 5. on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. A through L is on Wednesday, and M through Z is this Thursday, sorry. And then kindergarten high five, we're gonna have their own event, which will be next Tuesday on the 8th from 3:30 to 6. So you can finish registering, pick up any technology devices. The teachers right now are very busy putting together learning materials, school supplies, books that kids can take home, so families can have all those materials to start the year with. And I know we are in a pandemic, so not everyone is going to be able to come or be willing to come to the school to pick those things up. And so I'm going to be sending more communication out to families to let us know if they need things brought to them, or if they would like to set up another time to come pick up those materials. But I think the most important thing is to make sure that you come get technology if that's what you requested through either our tech survey, or we had some staff calling in August to get that information from families. And so we hope to see you on Wednesday and Thursday, or next Tuesday. First day of school for grades 1 through 5 is on Tuesday the 8th, and first day of school for high 5 and K is on Thursday the 10th. As we get moving here, we're going to the expectation is that teachers will be hosting a grade level virtual open house. And so that way they can talk as a grade level about the expectations for their grade, for the students, for the schedule that they have. And I know teachers right now are also making that one-to-one contact with families and calling them and trying to make that connection before we start the school year. As we do get rolling, we're going to try and keep some of our regular events that we've had in the past during a regular school year. But the first Friday of every month, we'll have coffee, tea, and IB, which is an opportunity to come and talk with the principal. Normally we have some students presenting some work or things that they've learned. We're going to try to continue that in some sort of fashion. So there'll be a schedule or calendared event for that coming out shortly. And then another way to get involved, like Alicia said, is site council. And we used to do PTO and site council together. PTO, Alicia can talk more about it, but it's more of like a fundraising, family connection type group, where a site council it meets once a month, and we talk about issues pertaining to the school improvement goals, staffing, budget, and the site council members provide input for any decisions or big changes that need to be made at Bancroft. I will say that there'll be some timely things to discuss this year at Bancroft in site council having to do with the CDD, which is still moving forward. And so there'll be a lot of discussion around any programming changes here at Bancroft, because we're slated to become a community school and not a magnet school. There'll be conversation around whether we want to continue or pursue being an IB school, and pursue that through specialty school status. And I know this is a lot of information just being thrown at you right now, but these are the things that we'll talk about in site council. Site council also helped us develop our homework policy and other pieces like that. And so that's the kind of work that we would do on those monthly meetings this year.
Diego, do you have, is there a day or week planned in terms of the frequency and when the site council meetings might fall? Or are you just still kind of putting together a calendar for the school year?
To be completely honest, we're still putting that calendar together. Just trying to get the school year up and running has been kind of our focus. And also be fully transparent with everyone. Our secretary is out. Ms. Fabiola was pregnant and she had a baby, and everything's healthy, but the baby came 3 weeks early. And so I really thought that I would have Fabiola to start the month of August when I came back to do student enrollment and all of those scheduling pieces, but I've been learning on the fly. So again, not looking for pity, just a little bit of grace and flexibility as I try to do her job as well. And she definitely has a magic wand, because it's not easy work. And so I'm glad for her and her new baby girl, Samantha. But it's been challenging here in the front office. So again, hopefully we'll get everyone's phone calls answered and messages returned.
Diego, just one more question. Do you have, I don't know if I missed it, is there going to be a coffee, tea, and IB this this coming up the first Friday of the school year?
No, good question. No, but there will be one. It probably won't be the first Friday, obviously, because that would be September
Yep.
11th or whatever that is. But we will schedule one for September, just a coffee and tea with the principal and whoever else comes. But like I said, teachers will be scheduling virtual meet and greets or virtual open houses for their whole grade level. And so this week is just the in-person, come get your things, maybe meet your teacher, but then we'll have the opportunity to connect with just your child's grade level teachers.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, if there are any questions, please reach out. Like I said, our office is working to return phone calls. Reach out to my phone number, which is 668-3559. I'm at my desk. I'm in the building every day. So if you have any questions, please email or call, and I'll do my best to support anything that you need.
Thanks, Diego. All right, next on the agenda, we'll talk a little bit about some upcoming community building activities to kick off the year. So Nicole?
Yeah, so usually we have the readathon in October, and we do the Spirit Wear Order toward the end of November as well. I'm hoping to still be able to do those two things. What I want feedback on is when we would like to do the readathon and any preferences on how that would look. And then also I would like some feedback on Spirit Wear. Most likely we'll be able to do one item online and it will be sent directly to people's homes, which will work really well. But most likely we can only do one, maybe two designs. So we need to think about that. And then the third thing is that I'm in touch with the kids voting people. So we will be able to do kids voting, which we've been able to do in the past. And it will happen at the beginning of November, just like the grown-up voting happens. So hopefully we will be able to do some sort of online voting for kids for this election. And so hopefully we can get some teachers we will get the teachers to have information ready for kids and to be informed voters, as we have attempted to do in the past. So first, when would we like to do the readathon? Any opinions on that? We could start as early as mid-September.
Do you think, I think just because as when I was a new kindergarten parent, I was like, what is a readathon? What does that mean? How do I engage? There's a few kindergarten parents on today. So I just want to, maybe you could talk a little bit about what that's looked like in the past.
Yeah, that we have new high five and kindergarten parents, which is wonderful. We're so glad you're here. Yeah, so the readathon is one of our largest fundraisers of the year. It is also a really great time to get kids interested in new books and to really work hard at reading a lot. I know that our kids definitely found new series and new books and new interests through the readathon last year. And essentially, you can go about the readathon as a parent in several different ways. You could just encourage your kids to read, even the standard 20 minutes a day, which all kids should be reading every day. Or you could encourage them to read more than that. I know that our second grader last year wanted to read as much as he possibly could, and that was his way of doing it. Some parents do the 20 minutes a day and then they focus on the fundraising. And we started doing fundraising last year online anyway, so that's already in place. And so essentially that just looks like getting donations from friends, family, and anyone else who might be interested in supporting the school, and just supporting through that way. And just the idea is that kids can set a goal, or they can ask for donations for a certain amount per minute, or the people can just do a donation. If that's too complicated and you don't want to do 2 cents per minute read, that's okay. Just say, hey grandma, can you give me $20 for my school? I'm doing this readathon thing. And usually we give awards to the kid who read the most in each grade and the kid who had the most fundraising for each grade. So I know that our family, we do not do a lot of fundraising. And so that's never an option. And for lots of families, fundraising is not an option, but their kid can read a lot, right? There's the libraries, thank goodness, are open. Many of them, including the one closest to Bancroft, is open for grab and go. So you can actually physically go into the library right now. And there's lots of other resources, online books, of course. They're reading through school that they have access to. So that's the readathon. Any questions about the readathon?
Hey, Nicole. I think I remember that it came up about doing a second readathon that never happened in the spring, right? And there were some other ideas I think that came up. I'm trying to remember about how to improve it, maybe, especially on like the return rate. Maybe I can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but there were some things that we shot around about better ideas and improving participation.
Yes, we had pretty good participation last year. I think I got 200 forms back, which is more than we usually get. But I know that we had talked about doing it later in the year or during the spring, because it feels like we're still in the thick of it in October. We usually do a book fair in October as well. Obviously, that's not happening this year unless we can find a way to do it online, which I will definitely look into. So yeah, I don't know about timing, and I am wondering what parents feel like. Do they feel like we could jump right into it and get the kids really focused on reading in school by doing a readathon in September? Do we think, let's wait and maybe do it in December when we have a couple weeks break from school as well? Because the kids are going to be inside and need something to do, and we come back from winter break and the readathon finishes then. Maybe we wait until the spring.
I wonder, in terms of timing, I wonder if we can just push it a little later, for the reason that we probably need to rebuild it a little bit for an online only platform so that engagement can be kept. Because when we had the in-person, it was kind of not, I wouldn't say easy necessarily, but there were signs when parents were showing up, and there was a lot of just physical engagement plus interaction with the teachers. And now we're sort of going to need to rebuild it anyway. And so we probably need some time to sort of figure that out. I'm not necessarily saying, push to December. But then the other thing I would sort of ask the group to consider is, since we have to, as parents, really kind of figure out and navigate this engaged students through online, we're probably going to prioritize figuring that part out and then take what lessons we learned there and apply it to the readathon or any other activity that we sort of put on an online platform. Because I do think that there is potential for it to still be very engaging, but I think we just need to put some time in, A, to give the parents a breather because they're going to figure out their own classwork engagement, and then B, so that we can reinvent it a little bit. Does that kind of make sense to folks? Does anyone have any comment on that?
Yeah,
I would just kind of echo that sentiment, and kind of going back to Eduardo's question, it seems like one of the things we talked about last year about the readathon was the various problems or inefficiencies that come with doing cash and check donations, which I think are only going to be exacerbated. So I love the fact that we're thinking about like how to make it online from in kind of an end-to-end fashion. But I also think that like actually just being able to do donations and to do those kind of payment mechanisms, so to speak, through mobile or other digital channels, I think is something that we might need a little bit of lead time to kind of set up and feel out.
So that part we actually do have already. We used it last year. Actually,
Awesome.
we've used it for 2 years, haven't we? It's through GiveMN, which is now owned by another company, but I don't know what that one's called, but it's through GiveMN. And so we already do have that set up actually. And lots of parents took advantage of it this past year. Lots of parents, it was so new that they didn't know about it. But so that part's already set up. Luckily the readathon, and I hear you about having parents, they need to get used to the online learning and then we can move forward with adding something else. I do think that we can easily give teachers a link and they can put that in their schedule. And for the parents who haven't, done the online learning with their kids yet, teachers can post things really easily. It might actually be more prevalent in their lives, and parents might go, oh, you're supposed to do the readathon. I can see that you're supposed to do the readathon, as opposed to a kid leaving the form in their backpack and recycling it 3 days later, right? So yeah, I'm really open to any timing. I think that because the money thing is already set up, that's really helpful. I think creating a form online for kids, I can totally make that happen. And then the other piece of it is that luckily the reading, most of it can take place offline, which might be nice. An activity that doesn't have to be on the screen. So at this point, I'm just thinking, what is the timing of this? It sounds like something that we would like to keep doing. We have prizes left over from last year that I can totally make work for this year. We can arrange pickups, drop-offs, mailings. So when should we do it?
Sorry, Nicole, could you say one more time when it usually is?
Didn't we do it over MEA last year?
Yep, that's when we usually do it, is over MEA. It also corresponded with the book fair and our first conferences.
So is that all in like October?
Yeah, the beginning of October. Those, like maybe the second 2 weeks in October.
Just in terms of programming, what else is kind of on the docket that it might compete with? Or I imagine it's a little looser now.
Well, Diego might be able to answer any conference questions. Diego, are we going to have conferences?
I would imagine yes, and it would probably fall around that same time frame because I know that this year, which is a little different from the last quarter of the spring when we went to distance learning, we are going to be using our regular report card. And so students and teachers are expected to be making progress toward the standards that are on our first quarter report card. And one big change for families who have been with us, we're going back to the quarter system and back to the MPS calendar. And so for those that have been here for years, we were originally a CPS school. We're still going to use our own report card, but we had our own calendar and we were on a trimester system. But this year, for the ease of lots of things, we're going to be on a quarter system and follow the MPS calendar. And so this first quarter, I believe, ends November 6th. And so we'll have conferences right in that, right in the MEA time. That's when we have conferences. And I have not heard officially that they're on, and I've not heard officially that they're off. I would assume that we are going to have them because kids are working towards standards.
What I was going to say, Nicole, is just that it does make sense to me. And I agree with what Paul was saying about, wanting to give, I think what Paul was saying, I'm in and out a little bit, but to give people some time to catch up. But to me, later in October feels like enough. I guess I'm wondering how many gears get in motion, how fast, if we sort of planned as if it were going to be in October, but by our next meeting, it is clear that the way the school year is developing, that is not realistic. Can we delay it versus if we were right now to not decide it could be in October, we can't get those gears in motion fast enough? Does that make sense? Could we proceed as if it's going to be on its normal timeline, and probably that'll work. But if we needed to in a few, in a month, we could.
Could I piggyback on? Oh, sorry, Eduardo, what's your comment? I see a hand go up.
I kind of agree, and I think that I'm not sure how long it lasted last time. I was wondering if we could do it kind of late October and maybe kind of finish it just before the Thanksgiving break. And I don't know if that's longer than usual, but also going back to just how this can best serve our community, because the fundraising part of it, I'm sure we always need some money, and that'd be great. But I am really concerned, and I'm kind of questioning what the participation and continued involvement of families that have lack of better access, better time, supervision, whatever, all those things. And if we can kind of use this as a way of saying, okay, a month into the semester, to help use this as a tool to help reach out and engage not just the staff, but through other, and see how kids are doing, helping them keep reading, get a goal going, whatever it might be, you know, to improve just engagement with school and with reading. Be a really great goal in addition to fundraising. You tie in a month in after starting school, see where things are at, and help.
So, Eduardo, you were breaking up a little bit for me. You were suggesting that we do it sooner in the school year to
No, not
utilize
necessarily.
it as an engagement effort?
I was saying like late October and finishing up right before Thanksgiving break. So just a month, mostly into November, I guess.
Yeah, I think Eduardo and I, we were probably right in tune because that's all pretty much what I was going to suggest. And we could use, if conferences occur, conferences could be one of those ways of a kickoff event. So rather than a close or whatever, kicks off with parents and teachers sort of being engaged. And like Eduardo was saying, we could use this as a rallying event to sort of try and build community in the school, since we're not really going to have anything in terms of actual community school-wide wise, you know, between the open house that we have and getting through, you know, that first 6 weeks. So I love the idea of host conferences, rally the folks, and then if it goes a little long, I mean, it doesn't. I don't know if it has to go to Thanksgiving because that puts it at 5 weeks. I don't think it was that long last year, but that's certainly, I mean, that would be a thing. And then to go with what Sarah was saying, because that's who I was originally piggybacking off of. We put the wheels in place for a late October start, and we get going on some work, particularly to sort of reinvent the engagement part, because that's the part that I'm really concerned about, is how do we just keep getting folks to be excited about it. We build that part in since everything else seems to be already online friendly. And if we need to postpone, it's all built and we just do an easy announcement. So I don't know if at this point is it time for a motion, because I'd like to move on that. I'd like to make the proposition for readathon late October timeframe, host conferences, and make it kind of a community unifying event as we can.
I guess I'll second that motion. Is there any further discussion? I can't believe I'm throwing Robert's rules into the Zoom format, but excuse me.
Do we need to remind people about how we vote?
I was going to do that right before. I was thinking about things simultaneously here. So we usually vote via thumbs up. It's not really Robert's rules. Thumbs up, unsure, thumbs down, disagree. You can certainly use your little icon for a thumbs up. There's also a thumbs down, or you could use your video, or you could use the chat, just so no. So why don't we just re-clarify the proposal? Can you do that, Paul?
Sure, right. The motion was to try to time readathon for post conferences late October on the ish. And to use it as kind of the first big unifying community event thing, and with the notion that we have the extra time to rebuild the part that needs online rebuilding, and also with the flexibility that we can move it after it's built. We can certainly move it down the line into November or post December as well. We have that freedom too. We're not locked in.
Okay.
That's the motion.
All right. All in favor, thumbs? All right. Anybody disagree? Any thumbs down? Check and chat. Seeing no disagreements, we will move ahead with that plan. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, I can totally be working on that.
Thank you, Nicole. Shall we move into voting? Do you want to talk? So you gave us a little bit of a synopsis. There's like a kids vote idea, and how would PTO play in this? Is this what is PTO's role?
It's mostly just to get the word out. It's just something that we usually do. We've done it, I think I've done it 4 times at the school, ever on the 2 years, I think. And so it just for families to be aware that that's coming. You can have as little or as much, you can talk to your kids as much or as little as you want to about that. And for the kindergartners and high fivers, we only do the presidential race, or 2 years ago it was the gubernatorial race. And then for first and up, we do a more complicated, I think 3rd through 5th graders, it looks very similar to a real ballot. And they do learn a lot about civics during that those years at school. Yeah, so I just want to let people know that that's happening and just to be aware of it, spread the word, we're doing it. Yeah, any questions about that?
The only I love the idea. We are in a particularly difficult time, and I know we're all sort of navigating the discussions with our kids about it. So my question is, how does this activity, like, where are boundaries in terms of types of discussion and tone of discussion, and that kind of thing, and how does it get managed? Particularly if from a PTO standpoint, we're mostly just promoting it. I just sort of want to get a sense of how do we sort of manage balance for something that we're promoting.
Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly how to address that. Really, it's up to the teachers to engage the students in the curriculum. And then it's up to the parents to decide what level of discussion they would individually like to have with their kids. Now, I would love to put together some resources that parents could access if they wanted to start having those discussions. And kids voting is where we go through to do this, and they're an organization, and they have some resources already. And so I'm happy to pull those together. I wouldn't throw that on parents right now, but I would throw that on them closer to, when we should start talking about it with kids. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, my takeaway from that statement is you get out of it what you put into it type thing. So it's really like a level of engagement. It's not if you're in, you're in up to the neck type thing.
Yeah. Yep.
No, and I would say just from the school side of it or the school perspective, I mean, I know in 3rd grade they talk about the branches of government, and so that kind of fits into that teaching piece. And in 4th grade they talk about appointed and elected officials, and so a lot of it. And then in 5th grade, same thing too, like the whole civic process, the whole voting process. And so in a sense, it's more of the technical aspects. And I know in these times it's difficult to leave the emotional vitriol side out of it, but it's definitely aligns with the curriculum in those grade levels. And I know 2nd grade, I'm not going to speak to 2nd, 1st, and kindergarten. I just know for sure 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But that's how they make those connections to the voting process and just the civic engagement of the whole piece.
Yep. And 2nd grade talks about rights and responsibilities right away at the beginning of the year. And 1st grade talks about community helpers, right? And how you can engage in your own community. So it's all, I mean, we all agree that it's a part of being a citizen, etc., to learn about the voting process. And we try to, all those teachers, of course, hit it where the kids are at developmentally. Yeah, and it's up to us as parents, but I will provide resources. I will find out what kids voting has. There are lots of great resources online about this, and I can totally compile those for parents who are interested in starting those conversations with their kids.
Yeah, no, I think thank you both for that insight. I think knowing that there's a framework or a window that the teachers are giving to the students to sort of look at this information. I mean, the notion that for Silas, who's now going into grade 1, that if we were to have family discussions about it, I could use this community helpers theme, for example, as a way of looking at it. That's actually great. So that tells me that other parts of, the voting process and politics in general, I don't have to introduce to him for him to be able to participate in this activity. There are some things I could leave behind. So yeah, I mean, if that's the kind of thing that's sort of put out to parents, and I'm all for it. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe there's a way for us to just kind of capture some key takeaways from that and then put that into just like the email out to the PTO group.
That sounds great.
Great. And was there one other thing, Nicole?
Yeah, Spiritware. Spiritware is
Spiritware.
usually ordered at the end of November and arrives before winter break. When would we like to do Spiritware order?
Could you or explain the limits to the design that you mentioned at the top of your introduction piece?
Yes. So, sorry, and again, high five and kindergarten parents if you have not been at the school. Spiritware is just T-shirts, etc., that have Bancroft or the Bulldog on them. I'm happy to send some of those images out to the PTO board, message, email. So the company that we go through can do it pretty easily, and it could actually be a fundraiser, which usually it's not, if we do 1 or 2 designs. The idea is that the more T-shirts you print with the same silk screen, the cheaper the T-shirts become, right? It's really just that simple. So if we have 10 designs and each one of them only gets 5 purchases, then all of a sudden the T-shirt's $30 each, right? If we do 1 or 2 designs and they each get, 20, 30 purchases, then there's more. If we want to do it, what I'm thinking is maybe it should be a new design, or it could be a really simple design. It could be something about distance learning, perhaps, and being
Diego's like, no.
Sorry,
I survived.
Here's where I'm going with that. Being a community, even though we're online, right? Even though we can't be together. But it could also be one that we've already done.
I wonder.
Sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
Go ahead, Kimberly.
No, it's okay.
And I don't know, I wasn't totally clear from what you said, Nicole, if that's like, number of designs per, like, literally the screen print or like the screen print on a particular product of clothing. Either way is fine. I'm for doing a fewer number of options potentially, especially if that helps it be a fundraiser, and or I wonder, I feel like it could be helpful given that we're so spread out if we could promise, and again, I don't want to spend our money frivolously, and I don't know how much money we have, but if we could say that everybody can get an item, a shirt, or if it's just a shirt or sweatshirt, and that we offer parents the opportunity to, so I'm gonna try and make it as cheap as possible, offer parents who are able the opportunity to like pitch in to buy X number of shirts for other students. And maybe, I don't know if we did this before anyway, but just to really try and have, everybody get a shirt, and then people could say if they can't buy one themselves, how many they need, and then have a day where, pay what you can, Alicia, and that everybody, then part of Spirit Week would be like, everybody wear your shirt that you got. You're on mute, Nicole.
Here's what I can do with the company that we use, who's really reliable, etc. So we can make the T-shirts, we can price them really inexpensively. People can purchase a T-shirt who are able, donate some on the back end through the exact same form. It's not an extra thing, it's just all in one purchase. They can add, let's say the T-shirt, we can price it at, $7 or $10 even, and they can add another $10 on the back end of that. We can totally make that happen. That's really simple through this process. I would say if we're going to go that way, let's just do one design to keep it really simple. But that would work, and I would be willing to say yes, let's pay for those extra shirts that families have requested that they cannot afford. I would support that from the PTO. Go ahead, Kimberly.
I can say as the current treasurer that we can afford it because we haven't done field trips, and I think that would be a really nice idea.
I think that would be a really nice way of just building a connection and you know, getting, I mean, every kid should get a shirt, and that's the least we could do. You know, it's going to be like, it's a little thing, but it might be fun to do if like everybody knowing that you could all participate in Spirit Day with your own Spirit shirt. That would be super sweet for those who could do that. So
I have one question.
go ahead, Linda.
I mean, for me, it feels awkward because we were there for High Five and we were real excited, and we get to be there for kindergarten and we're real excited, but we're confronted with this big district ominous thing looming over us that a whole lot of us are going to have to leave, I guess, probably the following year. And I'm really happy. I mean, I was lucky. I went, you know, 8 grades to the same school as a kid. And our kids are being moved around so much. I'm wondering if we could think about a design that the kids can take with them to a new school if a lot of our kids have to leave and go into a different environment the following year. Is there some way to incorporate Bancroft into a design that would indicate maybe Minneapolis Public, so that when they end up in another building the following year, if they do, they can go, oh, you were at Bancroft too? You know, they could take their spirit wear and still wear it somewhere else without somebody saying, oh, you're from Bancroft? You know, can we build a bridge with these? I mean, otherwise the kid wears it once and then, or twice or 1 week, and does what with it? So those are my sad thoughts, not to rain on the parade, because I'd love to have Spirit Week too.
Sorry, can I just, is the company that we work with for this, do they only do apparel or do they do non-apparel items as well?
They do both. They do lots of different items.
Because we could maybe consider something like, you know, a pencil case or something that, you know, is more portable than clothing, if that's an option.
Yep.
I guess I just want to raise a different way of looking at that, and I'm curious how people feel. Like, to me, for one thing, at the rate some of our kids are growing, they may not wear it 2 years in a row anyway, but also, like, I treasure my old, like, Uptown Diner class or whatever, you know, for something that I don't think having it say Bancroft makes it a sad thing or something they wouldn't want to, students who have to move wouldn't want to wear. So I guess I like the idea of, like, also saying Minneapolis or Minneapolis Public Schools on it. I love that, because then we share in the Minneapolis schools pride, but I would want it to say Bancroft for kids who are leaving.
As a parent who just retired, my third grader's shirt that said Joyce Preschool on it. I think it just goes, I mean, as long as they can fit in it, he doesn't care. But I know it's different for older kids and that changes over time, but I agree. I think, and it's important, I think it's helpful. It's a hard enough school year, and it's a fun little thing I think that we could do and it seems within reason, something to celebrate. I'm in favor of a t-shirt, shared t-shirt, and if people want to get a little pencil case too, that's fine, but I'm in favor of PTO getting t-shirts for the kids still.
And, you know, to go with what Nicole sort of opened with, the distance learning, I survived distance learning, as really maybe more the notion of, and I know this has been overused, but the theme of together apart or apart together, you know, and then Minneapolis and Bancroft. And then, you know, we go after that kind of idea in the design somehow. And of course, with Bancroft being, you know, a world school and really has that kind of already that unifying kind of, it lends itself well to a unifying theme, I guess is my point. And so I think we could certainly put our heads together and make a design that goes into that kind of realm while still saying Bancroft, but still being kind of universal and usable no matter where you end up. And I'm one of the ones getting booted out too, so I feel you there.
knowing that this probably, I love talking about design, but just knowing that the next item on our agenda might take up some time for discussion too. Are there any folks that are super excited about talking more or like working with Nicole on sort of t-shirt design and sort of taking these ideas and like just kind of bringing some, brainstorming a little bit, maybe bringing a couple of ideas to the next meeting? Any volunteers? Oh, that powerful mute button. Thank you, Eduardo.
To like kind of workshop ideas for design, not to come up with the design, and then present a couple of a few handfuls. Yeah, I could do that.
Yay.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm hearing is that we want it to be community building in some way. We would like to make sure that a shirt is provided to every kid at Bancroft who wants one. And that in the design, it'd be nice to include Bancroft, but also MPS, and also something like the idea of together apart, or, we're a community even though we're not physically together. So that's what I'm hearing mostly. But Eduardo, I can totally talk to you via email.
Okay.
And anyone else who's interested, just let me know.
Are there, Diego, I know Nicole, you're on staff.
Silas? Hey,
Bancroft, but
Silas,
maybe
who are you?
there's another
Silas?
staff person that would like to
Silas?
have ideas with this. I don't know, just because I know a lot of staff also buy spiritware too.
Yeah, I'm not actually on staff at Bancroft anymore.
Okay.
Monica is, so.
Monica, sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm an ECFD, so that's interesting online, trust me.
Get yourself some water, will you?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I can send that out to staff to see if anybody would be interested in teaming with Nicole and Eduardo to brainstorm some ideas or even a design. I know we have some artistic people on staff, and so I could throw that out to everyone. I also want to say that my kids all got a water bottle, and that was kind of a fun thing. My kindergartners were super excited to get a water bottle when they went to their open house. And so that's maybe another idea too, just to throw more things at you, Nicole.
Great. Yeah, so I'm reading in the chats. I know that Sue Francis was doing an ambassadors program. Was that continued at all last spring?
It was, and they met with Sue, and then we have another gentleman on staff. His name is James Menke, who's going to be our social and emotional learning TOSA, or teacher on special assignment. And so he was going to work with Sue to continue the ambassadors or some sort of YPE with it, which is like a youth perspectives piece. And so, yeah, we could definitely throw that on their plate as well to maybe get some kids to.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Sue and she can connect me to James, and yeah, so that then we can get some kid involvement too, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing though is that we want some more voices on here, and so it probably will be. We are pushing that probably to the same time as we usually do it.
What is that time?
Sorry,
it's a deadline.
Yeah, so we usually order them at the end of November.
Okay.
And then they're here by winter break.
But I feel good in the planning in this. Like we did not talk about this the first meeting last year, so this is really helpful, and I think it'll be fun to get more input. So I think that'll make it successful.
And I will say that we've had some great designs and we've had some great spiritware, and so we can just continue that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Where can we see those old designs?
Yeah, let me think about that. I can certainly.
Might be some in the Gmail and the Google
I think we should
Docs.
bring back one of these, the old painter hat. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah, that was not me. I didn't do that.
Bancroft Bulldogs.
Wow, that's like.
I would wear one.
Wow.
I got this from the 1987 or 1985 time capsule that we found during construction.
That's amazing.
Anyways, sorry.
It's all right. Yeah, so those three things are my things. And I know that last year we talked about spacing some things out, but it sounds like those three things still want to happen in the fall. And maybe we still do another readathon in the spring, especially if we're still at home distance learning. A readathon sounds great to me. And then we have the plant sale in the spring as well. So that sort of rounds the year out better. And then at some point, I really want to start talking about how do we help families, especially in those really, really cold months, January and February. But that's for later. I just want to put that in everyone's mind. What are we going to do for them then?
Yeah.
Kimberly, you had an idea?
Yeah, well, no, sorry, I don't have an idea, Nicole. I wish I did. No, I just had a question I want to throw out there regarding the plant sale, is that I think we need to be prepared to move it online. And I know that our primary nursery is willing and able to help us make that happen. And they worked with a bunch of schools who did like drive-in and social distance and all that kind of stuff. And I'm wondering if there'd be somebody who would be able to help me figure out how do we set up online ordering and keep it equitable. I mean, I know with it, great Buddha forgive if we are still on distance learning come April, but I'm trying to think ahead to make sure that we can continue to do this. And if we need to do it all online, families will have devices and they'll have hotspots, but they might not have payment options. So I just want to throw it out there for anybody who is willing to think about this and brainstorm ideas to reach out to me, because Justin and I are thinking about it, but we don't have any good solutions now. And we have the benefit of time right now that we're not coming up with an emergency solution. And hopefully it becomes not needed and the plant bill goes according to the process that it always does.
You know, if I may, and I don't mean to hijack the conversation, but if we are online for longer than we want, which was 2 months ago, you know, we are finding ourselves with a number of activities where we need to sort of have a manageable online portal, something where where Facebook is not the answer for it, YouTube is not the answer, chains of emails is not the answer. You know, kind of like the old school chat forums was the answer for this kind of thing when the internet was first being developed, right? And so I know we've got a PTO website that's piggybacked on the school's website, or sorry, a PTO web page that's piggybacked on the school's website. But considering that we're looking at an online portal or some kind of online presence regarding readathon, and plant sale is going to need it, you know, we might need to start researching as an effort to sort of be the umbrella effort for everything. How do we create a robust PTO website that could sort of transport, be the mechanism for all of these things, online payments or getting the word out or having parents engage with other parents, that kind of thing. And so I just want to put that out there. It's when I give my little talk later on, I know my talk is sort of halfway dependent on that too. So clearly we have a need, and if this is going long term, we might want to do a little digging into, you know, a kind of a more robust web portal for the PTO. Just my 2 cents.
I think
on
as
that.
long as just a 2 cents on that is just like, I think as long as there's parent excitement about wanting to get that done from start to finish, let's do it. I mean, if it's something that we can pass on to future parents and like that will help build connection, I think the silver lining for some of this for me has just been like the ability to just sort of, well, we have nothing left to work with. Let's just work with what we have. And sometimes it's diving into tools we wouldn't have considered in a regular school year because it's time to get creative and think about that. So I think I want to come back to that, but I am in favor of, you know, if you're interested in doing research and bringing back some ideas, like let's listen to it and hear you out, because I think that would be, I think that there might be ways that we can help build up the sort of technical infrastructure of the school so parents can engage in easier, different ways. And I think this, in some ways, I don't think we'll ever go back to completely non-normal, you know, in terms of non-normal. We won't ever go back to what it was. I think there'll always be an aspect of what we have now. But I do want to make sure we're staying on the agenda topic for today. So I'm wondering if we can move on to that next item, unless there's something, one last point anybody wanted to make. Nicole?
I just wanted to let you all know that I need to go, and that I'm open for whenever you plan the next meeting. I'll make sure that I can be there. I am happy to continue being a co-president. I am also happy to not be co-president, meaning I am happy to not be president. But I also do have the debit card, so I'll have to remain on the board somehow just to make it easier, unless we want to switch all that over. But it's been really helpful with doing the things that I do on the PTO anyway. So, like I said, if anyone else wants to be PTO president or co-president, it's all yours. But I think that's the only other agenda item that I need to speak to. Paul, I looked at your pod presentation already and it looks great. So thank you for doing that. I'm sorry that I do have to go. Anything else for me before I go?
Thank you. Paul, so you want to go ahead and introduce your pod? I know you got a little presentation here.
Sure.
Hopefully you can just share your screen.
Host has disabled participant screen sharing. So.
Oh, why is that? Let's see. It says all who can start sharing when someone else is sharing. Am I sharing something? You know, this happened to me in earlier Zoom. It says all participants can share.
There we go. No, that solved it. If you turned on the anyone can share at any time, that I'm in. I'm in like Flynn, as they say.
Excellent.
All right. So yeah. So the idea behind this, well, as the title says for itself. So how can the PTO sort of facilitate the notion of pods throughout the school, among the school, just support an additional support structure for parents as they sort of try to navigate this digital online learning bit. That's truly what we're talking about, or I'm hoping to sort of get the idea out on. So this slide deck is we're going to talk about sort of what is a pod. I think most of us, if we're on here, I'm pretty sure we're familiar enough because we're probably active enough just reading newspaper articles about this concept, which is going across the country right now. What are the ways we could use the pod? And I'm really looking for discussion from folks. How do you, if the pod idea is fruitful for us, how could we use it here? And then specifically, how can the PTO sort of help in making sure that the pods are successful? And then the number 4 item is really an item throughout the entire discussion. How is this linked to Bancroft teaching and support staff? Meaning, and I want to get this out at the top of the talk, that as Diego sort of mentioned at our last meeting, parents should be going to the teachers, parents should be contacting staff. There are resources that the school has. And so we're not trying to replace school resources. What we're trying to just do is help it out where it needs help, prop it up, maybe so that teachers aren't inundated with phone calls, when a certain thing goes wrong, maybe so that staff isn't, getting a bunch of emails about the same thing. So really, it's just another communication line is the idea here between why PTO could facilitate a pod structure. So just putting this out there in terms of media, the pods there's the idea of learning pods where parents are getting together, they're hiring a tutor or a teacher to sort of sit with their kids and help them learn more or learn better. Of course, as this particular quote says, there are concerns because obviously it's a money thing, and that's not necessarily where we're going with it. But I do want to point out that learning pods is a concept that is out there and that people are trying to leverage as their kids navigate. The other idea is right here. I'm going to move this out of the way. And it's just the notion that parents and families are sort of agree that we are going to be one little bubble We're not going to we're going to be safe with each other, but our kids get social time with each other, and we're not going to do any sort of reckless behavior outside that might endanger the little bubble that we've created for ourselves here. So it's basically the idea of a learning pod or a social pod. From a personal standpoint, we have the privilege of, we're close to establishing a little learning pod, not a paid thing, but just that some parents in my son's groups from kindergarten might be getting together to sort of take turns and guide each other's kids along on the days. My wife is out on Tuesday and I'm out on Tuesday as well. Silas might be with some other family, and then we take their kids on Wednesday. That kind of arrangement is what we're working on. And then in terms of the bubbles, I mean, we just within our circle, we've got 3 other classmates that Silas has been playing with, and it's been great because he's getting the socializing, and we've all agreed with each other that we're going to be safe and follow all the rules and not endanger anyone else's kids. So that's the kind of thing that's sort of happening on a personal level for me, and the idea is how do we sort of encourage this or help this along on a broader scale so that parents that need it here at Bancroft can also avail themselves of the idea. That's the basic idea. I'm going to move this over. So, in terms of discussing with the basic notion that there are learning pods and that there are social pods, what are possible goals and functions? Teaching and learning is the basic one, and the idea that this thing that we do has helped us because we're in this pod together. I'm able to share that with you, and you could take it and run with it and use it for your own kid. I mean, it's just how are we exchanging ideas? How can we get ideas exchanged between parents or among parents? Technology help was actually my original idea. So back in the spring, I was hoping to try and figure out a way of helping out parents that were struggling with the watching the streams, and the technology just wasn't working and the login wasn't working. And I know first call really should be to the district for that kind of thing, particularly schools that are using district supported equipment. But still, I think for another parent to be able to call someone in their child's grade and understand how is it that you got that video to stream properly, he wasn't able to check anything. I mean, just that kind of exchange might be an easier solve than making somebody wait 45 minutes online at 8 in the morning with MPS IT help, for example. And of course, the child care and socializing, again, as I said, from a personal standpoint, we're trying to arrange for some play dates that are during school time so that our kids can get some kind of guided work going while both my wife and I are at work, and then vice versa. So, and then of course there's the what else. I'm putting it in front of the group because I know that there are many more ideas, many more functions beyond what I've read and the little that I come up with on my own. So I'm really hopeful that the group might have their own versions of this that we could, as a PTO, sort of help them help facilitate. So I'm just going to kind of push through these items so that we get a discussion. There it is. And so one of the things I would like to sort of say is that as a possible structure, these are just recommendations, suggestions. If we are able to, as PTO, organize a volunteer parent or a couple of parents per each grade, and that the parents in each grade level or each class, maybe they take it upon themselves to sort of be the ambassadors for this idea among their kids' classmates. So there's that notion. So it's not necessarily PTO leadership is taking and running. It's more like PTO is finding people that are like-minded in the other grades that might want to take on this mantle for their own kids' class. Rely on the Bancroft online family directory. Now, I'm going to be very fully transparent that I sort of dropped the ball on the distribution of that over the summer, and I apologize for that. But the directory does exist, and I have re-engineered a new form. Sorry, there's an airplane, which is probably going over all of us right now. A new form to sort of solicit participation from parents. And that would go into an online directory that would sort of help connect the dots for people that need it. The notion behind the directory is that searchable by last name, searchable by a student's last name if the kid is looking up a classmate, or searchable by a teacher's last name, and then they could figure out, who would they contact within those search terms. Be within a class or across a grade level. I'm taking this idea from you, Diego, when you mentioned that really no class is supposed to be better off or worse off than another across the grade levels. The per grade across the class, no, sorry, across the grade per class, they're all supposed to be getting the same experience. So the idea is, even though my son is in Miss Tiffany's class and his friend is in Mr. Lewis's class, I actually don't know all the first grade people yet. Theoretically speaking, they could be in a pod working on the same assignments because though they're not in the same class, they're in the same grade. There's that notion. And then, of course, I only have the one child, and this was kind of a funny bias that I presented during the last meeting, when obviously people have many more children than just the one. And so people might need support between first, third, and fifth, for example. And so being able to facilitate that. And the thing that I wanted to sort of be key on, just based off the things that I've read and how other people have talked about their pods just within my own social circle. I mean, small, manageable sizes. We're not talking about getting 12 kids in a room. We're talking about 2 or 3 in a room, or 2 or 3 online, or over the phone, or some kind of hybrid version of it. We're talking about familiar or appropriately matched. I mean, obviously, it'd be great if everyone knew each other, but how do we meet each other in this online way? We have a bunch of new classmates now, or at least our sons and daughters do. And how do we sort of help match them up? How do we sort of figure out who would be the ones that would work out well with their temperaments or their tones or the way they study, the things that they need, the way they sort of interact?
Can I ask you
idea
a
of
question, Paul?
Sure.
I want to step back. I'm not clear. I understand all the things you're talking about are definitely concerns people would weigh in forming a pod. And I just want clarity on, and maybe you're getting to that, but on like what part you're suggesting that Bancroft or the volunteers would, like what role we would play. Are you, is all the stuff, all the considerations you're talking about, are those all things that you think this like
right.
role would take care of, or?
No, that's okay, and I apologize for my lack of clarity there. So the left side of the screen is sort of suggesting a structure to this, that we sort of rely on volunteers per grade level or per class. We've got the directory, but it's not tied to a single class. It can span as needed. I mean, it's all about family circumstances, and you know, who has kids across a couple of grade levels versus who's just got the one child. But the right side of the screen, small, manageable, fixed membership in person or online, that is a notion of like just trying to give a boundary to the pod so that people don't go out and just explode this thing into like creating a whole nother 30-person class. I mean, on accident, for example. I mean, that's really not the point. The point is I'm struggling with an iPad stream. This is the third time that my son's teacher has put it out. I don't get it. I've already called her. Oh, but you know what? Jimmy over there seems to know what's going on. I'm going to talk to his dad or his mom, and maybe they can guide me along. And so I need to already have that contact made in order to know who to call. But if I'm new to the school, or for whatever reason I'm in a different class, and we don't have those networks already, this pod notion and by PTO sort of taking the role of talking through a structure, we can maybe help people form their own pods. That's really what the idea is. And then I just wanted to sort of point out that idea of fixed membership is primarily because of the in-person thing. But if people don't do in-person, the risk goes away, frankly. But that's the idea, is for people that want to have some of that every Wednesdays, I'm taking your child, and every Tuesdays, you're taking mine. You know, encouraging that that's not everyone everywhere kind of free for all. But did that answer the question, Sarah?
Can I just add too, and I think the original conversation or notion was just that, to have connection or to get to know people in the class that you would normally get to know coming into the school, dropping kids off, coming in for a coffee, tea, and IB. And I think that's where the original notion started, and how to connect families with each other who want something like this.
Absolutely.
As far as the school side, Bancroft school staff would play no role in organizing any of these collaborations or supports outside of the school building. And I know this has happened at a couple other schools where then families have asked to start moving kids from their classrooms based on their learning pod that they've joined. And that will absolutely not happen at Bancroft. And like I said, you know, the experience you're getting in Miss Tiffany's class will be very, very similar to what you're getting in Miss Lewis's class. And they collaborate with the curriculum. They usually deliver lessons within the same frame of each other. Obviously, personalities are different, but the curricular academic piece is going to be similar in all 4 of my first grade classrooms. But I think that's just some clarity too, that the Bancroft staff, like, you can't call, don't call me and say, you know, I need to be part of this learning pod and what are we working on? That's something that I feel that PTO or families that are opting into this thing will be organizing, if that makes sense.
Go ahead. I can't see.
I feel like it'd be good, it's Eduardo, just to have a little bit of a, you know, a little script, a little questionnaire, I don't know what you call it. You know, for me, you know, I'd be happy to maybe call through the other parents in my class or in Felix's class and then ask them, you know, hold on a second, let me ask them, you know, what are they already kind of with some, you know, connected with other families, would they be interested, you know, a series of questions to see where they're at, and then be able to put that into some sort of like just a list and try to see where there's potential for matching up and then suggest matching ups. Is that kind of how you see a role playing?
Right, that's a good question. The matchmaking probably got overemphasized because we weren't. I'm certainly not looking at matchmaking, but I am looking at creating a way for parents to understand. Oh, this family here has a couple of kids. Not only is this a 3rd grade family, but this is a 1st grade family. So am I. Oh, well, maybe it works best.
Right, but the person who does that is going to be the volunteer from each class that calls through everybody, gathers that information about where everybody's at, and then it's to kind of see.
And that's a good question. If the volunteer, I think of the volunteers as more of an ambassadorship, sort of talking this through, and maybe the volunteer certainly takes it upon themselves to do the calling, or maybe they simply let folks know this exists. Do the directory, fill out the directory form, for example, and then do a search yourself. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a volunteer that cold calls everybody, but it certainly does mean that there's a volunteer that can just help talk through the idea to sort of explain to people, parents, I don't understand what you mean by this pod. What is that really supposed to be? Oh, well, as you know, and then they've got a script. We can certainly write a script for the volunteers. But truly, the idea is, as Diego already sort of made comment on, it's really just a very focused network opportunity with a very fixed focus. And the focus is to get parents together for either for help with tutoring, help with socializing, help with technology, or help with anything else that this body thinks needs to be a focus. That's kind of the thing, as opposed to the phone directory when it was put your name on the list here and maybe somebody will call you for something. This actually has a little more of a focus to it. And again, it wasn't intended to replace the school as a resource, but I think we are going to get to points where the teacher is only going to be able to handle a certain number of calls. And if one parent gets the explanation from the teacher, why wouldn't it be great if that parent spreads the love across the rest of the course? Instead of just, plays telephone with it, right? So that's really what this is. I think, Sarah, you had a question. Or Alicia, somebody raised a hand.
I just wanted to say that I think, though, the idea here, what you're presenting is like this could be a pilot, right? I mean, and like we might have 1 or 2 volunteers who are super eager and excited about trying this out. And it's kind of almost a build it as you run it, write it sort of idea, because we don't have a huge plan. There's not an infrastructure. We're a volunteer board too. So it's kind of just like potentially like having 1 or 2 or 3 folks who are interested in trying this out, and then coming up with a method, whether it's reaching out to parents in your classroom as a way to start, and then trying to get together and then kind of utilizing each other as you go to sort of create some sort of relationships. And then potentially, if it's successful, you could bring it back to the PTO again and like say, this is how you do it. And then that's giving us a little bit more instructions for those who are like, I kind of don't have time right this moment to like kind of figure out something like that, but I'd be willing to put it, maybe more interested later on the fall as it sort of goes through. Is that, I'm just don't want to put words in your mouth, but I just was like wanted to check in on like what the sort of ask here for the families.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really bringing it to this group today was the idea that someone else may also have their own version that they're already doing, and how do we sort of just try it out wherever we are. I'd love to get it going in first grade. And like I said, we, as our own family unit, is having some successes with the Notion already over summer, and so we're trying to translate that into fall here. And I'm sure there are others that would, maybe hadn't heard about the idea and would benefit from it. So that's really what it is. But then using the PTO as the mechanism to sort of translate it across. Melissa, you had a question, or you raised your hand?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'm glad this came up. I'm new and I'm still learning like the role of the PTO and things. But I will say in our preschool, we kind of organically formed little pods, and I was hoping to have such a thing for my son starting kindergarten, that he's really social. We don't know anybody. We don't know who's even interested. I was ready to call all the parents if I could get a list to help with his social development needs, or just we spent really all our socializing this summer was with our little preschool pod. We even went camping with them because it was just like people who were in a common place, and we, like you talked about, we all pretty much sheltered in place except for each other, and it was just really helpful for our whole family. And I would really like to see even just a landing page to have that conversation, like even less than it'd be nice to have more support or more ideas like you're describing, but just like a page where people interested can go and look for it, and letting people know that page exists would be really great.
Oh, thank you for the comment. And Sarah, I'm going to make one reply, and then I'm going to go to you if that's okay. I think, as I understand it, and this is only my second year to have a child in the school system, right? The school can't give us each other's contact info, right? So the only other organization that has the largest email or contact list would be PTO. That's the main reason why I'd love for this to be a PTO inspired thing, because apart from the school itself, PTO's got the potential to get in front of as a large number of faces. So yeah, the idea of a landing page, which takes us back to what I brought up earlier, just sort of us having a portal that's a little more robust, but it's not Facebook, where we feel like we're giving away people's privacy and selling it to advertisers, right? So yeah, I'm with you there on that. And so thank you for that. Sarah, you had your hand up. You're muted.
Yeah, thanks. I guess I just wanted, and hi, Melissa, she's across the street from me. I feel like we could put hands in the window and do it the old school way. So excited you're coming to Bancroft. I guess I just want to reiterate like what a hard thing it has been to accomplish to get the ability to contact other parents, and how incredibly helpful that would be for so many things going forward. And just like, I love the idea of as much and as far as any volunteers want to take supporting other parents in potting. But I know for us, like we just had to go through with all of our planning, not with Bancroft parents, pretty much because we don't have a way to reach any of them. Or, many, like we don't have, the sort of right mix, and there's so much to negotiate in terms of your exposure level and all of this stuff. So I would, as a volunteer, I would be happy to like contribute some of the questions that we developed in our family out of just all the questions that other families asked me as we were like dating. It felt like dating, figuring out who we could pod with. And I bet there are other families who've gone at that different ways. I love the idea of a landing page. And I really know for my own need, like I'm hoping, even though now we've arranged a pod, there may be some flexibility. It's with someone from another school. They may want to switch to their school and we to ours if we're ever able to. So anyway, I would really love to work with the, I know, I understand what you're saying, Diego, well, like what the school can't do. But since I think there could be a lot of things that are helpful for the school if parents can talk to each other, like some of the other tech supports that Paula said too. And so to figure out any ways where like during school time, you know, during the online chats or all of the ways that we could integrate asks to parents to share their contact information with other parents. Sorry, that was a super long way to say that, but I just feel like that's such a high priority for me, and I think would be so helpful for so many things, including this, that I'd really like to find as many ways as we can to do that.
Yeah, and I think we just started venturing into that with the online directory and those pieces, and you know, and Paul said it. We can't, as a school. I mean, we can support the dissemination of information between parents, and parents can volunteer to give their information to a directory. But I can't, you know, if Melissa calls me and says, "What's Sarah's phone number?" I want to call. I can't give out that information, but you know, we can facilitate that through getting the directory updated and those pieces out to families and advertise, I guess, for lack of a better word, that opportunity and what giving your number or providing your information can maybe provide down the road, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because if you give me a way to give you permission, I would love to give you permission, Diego, to give my number to any other parent who ever asks for it in perpetuity.
Okay, let me find out if there's a legit way to do that.
Could we do it a little bit of a different way and say, if we can identify a volunteer for each grade level, hopefully each class, and then have the teachers say, hey, if you are interested just in finding out about potting, or talk to them, or you want to connect to other teachers, because a lot of them aren't going to be in the directory, and I'm thinking about a lot of non-English speakers if they're not going to be in the directory. So if I'm the volunteer, just say, can my teacher just say, hey, call Eduardo, here's his number. Could they do that?
So if you tell your son or daughter's teacher, I'm willing to be this volunteer, you can provide my information. All right, I will look into it. I mean, I'll have to definitely look into what the district expectations are around that, or the.
I'll be honest, Diego. I've already drafted an email to Miss Tiffany so that she can tell that to people about me and tech. So, but I'll hold off on that if there's some checking up. But yeah, totally. I think I dig it. First of all, I'm very excited about PTO. This is great that everyone's sort of arriving at the same points and from their own places. So thank you very much for everyone talking and being engaged. I have zero idea of where we are for time, frankly, but I did want to sort of bring this. I did want to point out that, oops, I'm gonna go back.
Can I just interrupt really quickly because I have to run?
Go ahead.
And so I just want to thank you all for supporting Bancroft and for being part of this PTO meeting. And I know some of you returning as PTO members and many of you returning as Bancroft families. And so my hope is that we do good by your kids and make sure that they get the education that they deserve as we go into distance learning. And I know it's not easy for staff here. It's not easy for parents at home. And so we're just going to all try and do the best that we can. And so I hope to see many of you on Wednesday and Thursday, and then some of our newest families next Tuesday for our back to school events. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me directly at this point, since the phones in the office are being answered haphazardly. And so if you have any questions, I will do my best to answer and support what you need to start the year.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, thank you all.
We've got 20 minutes left, so I want to make sure that we can at least do a quick share back around PTO roles, openings, and maybe just hear from existing PTO folks about what that means. So if there are openings, people might get excited about that.
Sure, I'm going to wrap real quick. I just wanted to get to this page to sort of let folks know we are not expecting experts or professionals. We are expecting parents that are doing the best they can. And so the idea that within your own pods, you bring what you can, you take what you need. I feel like that's totally a good way of looking at it. And that primarily that no, I can't right now is a valid answer. Just because you're a volunteer or just because you're on a pod doesn't mean that right this second you can drop everything and answer a question. So I did want to sort of bring that to the thing so that people aren't making this another source of anxiety for them. Really, it's meant to be an assistance. So that's about it. The next slide was really about action steps, which I really don't have. I think this group is going to drive that. My hope is between now and the next meeting to put out an email through our own list to sort of introduce this idea to a broader set of folks. And if anyone in the meet group today wants to sort of do some offline chat, do a smaller group chat about it, and if you're fairly passionate and excited about this already for your own grade, I'd love to sort of get together. But maybe by the next time our next PTO meeting is up, we can actually have something launched somewhere. And again, like I said, I'm doing this in grade 1. Anyone who is also a grade 1 parent, find me. That's all I got.
Thanks. Thank you. We have the last piece here of our agenda is going to be on PTO and being able to have the opportunity to be a part of this volunteer group. I've been some member of PTO to some extent since my kiddo was in kindergarten, so it's going on a few years. I was co-president last year, and I am in that boat of uncertain families because of the CDD of whether or not I can stick around for future years, unfortunately. That doesn't mean that I'm ready to step away from PTO, but I'm also guys in that group of folks that are like, I'm not sure if I'll be the right person to be president, co-president again for another year. So I have to say I'm kind of looking to step back. But before I do that, I know that there's a few of us in there, and I know that there's a couple of other roles. I'm also working full time too, so if I do stick around, I'll also ask for a bit of grace and forgiveness because I just might not do this role 100%. And so we'll get in there. But presently, at the moment, we have Nicole and I as co-president and co-chairs. Is everybody able to see my PowerPoint screen? No? Okay, thank you. Okay, I started sharing it and then it stopped. So let me try that again. It's because I have 3 screens and I forget that I have a 3rd screen. So everybody can see my PowerPoint now? Okay, thanks. Co-presidents, we started co-presidenting last year just because I didn't want the role of president and I wanted to share it. But basically for PTO, what that means is we are purchase items that are approved by PTO and research share PTO items, quality and prices, just making sure we're doing our due diligence and purchases. We submit these receipts to treasurer. We support Bancroft parent outreach. And we liaison with Bancroft administrators as needed, and then support the duties of other PTO as officers as needed. Sort of the big pieces here are helping ensure agenda compilation happens. We'll pull together funding requests. So as funding requests come in, we have a funding request sort of process. We'll have to revisit it maybe at the next meeting or in between here and the next to make sure that that still makes sense in a remote learning environment. We bring forward previous items to the next agenda. I combined the 2 roles, so I apologize about the replication, but you can see here that there's general shared responsibilities around supporting parent outreach, liaisoning with Bancroft administrating, and supporting the duties of other officers. But it's basically purchases, receipts, and agendas is the role of the co-presidents and helping ensure that there's some continuity in that. Our communications chair stepped back. That was Brady. And so we will be looking certainly for a new communications chair for the upcoming school year. And that person is asked to collect key messages from the secretary from PTO meetings and updating our website, posting information on our family involvement bulletin, which goes out to students. I'm not quite sure how that'll change this year. I assume it might be going out through emails. And managing and updating our PTO parent list, designing and developing flyers, and I think this might also include Facebook as well. Sarah, your secretary, you're interested in kind of continuing on in that position. Yay! And this individual takes notes during board meetings, saving to the PTO Google Drive, identifying key messages, action items, follow up from meetings, sending out key messages and communication to our communications officer to further disseminate, and emailing notes and key messages to our PTO listserv on through Google. Our last board position here is Kimberly, who is stepping back. Kimberly is in the past year has held the position of treasurer, and that role includes making deposits, paying bills, tracking budget in Excel, and leading the quarterly budget reviews with the PTO board. So just sort of, and which would be on November, March, and June. So not every single meeting, but just on a quarterly basis. Existing board members, did I capture everything correct? I think it might just be Kimberly and Sarah that are on there. Anything I missed?
I was just going to say I am totally happy to stay on as secretary. I'm also happy to step down or potentially take a different role if that is really needed. I'd also considered, I didn't hear the announcement about how we're handling site council, but whether I would step up more on site council. Just offering that because secretary is actually a pretty nice, simple role. I can make sure you have access to Google Docs where stuff is saved and you just type while people talk. So if there's somebody else who kind of wants an entry-level role in the leadership, I can open that one.
So more to come. Is any of I don't have my chat open, but is anybody interested in any of these roles or potentially having a more specific role?
I would consider the communications role since I was Brady's backup anyway. And I think then that would probably get me the email password by that point, right? But otherwise, whether or not I was in the role, I think this meeting has shown you the work I am interested in doing, which is the infrastructure tech piece, this pod thing, and just anything that helps make this a better experience for my son. So yeah, I would certainly look to communications when the election comes up.
Excellent. That makes me happy. Anybody else? Kimberly, do you want to speak any bit to your role since you're stepping back and what that's included?
Sure. I think it's pretty straightforward. Honestly, it's a lot of collecting receipts from the mailbox from the key teachers who are supporting mostly field trips in a normal world, and writing checks to pay those bills and reconciling receipts. And I keep a pretty simple Excel ledger of where we are, reconcile it against the bank account, and make sure that we're on track with our fundraising goals and our spending. So I have to step back because I also do the plant sale, and I work like 7 days a week thanks to this pandemic.
Yeah, well, and it's been great having you, but I totally get that. It's been tough, I think, all around, but 7 days a week, you need time for yourself in that somehow. Any other questions about the roles? Okay, well, I am going to, we've got 9 minutes, so, and we have, how many folks are left on this call? we've got a good chunk of people here, so I want to do just a quick checkout, just because I hate hanging up, especially with this many new people in front of me. Just sort of, if you could share just sort of one thing you're left with, or one thing you're looking forward to, and we'll go ahead and close out the meeting here today. And I will go first. I am left with excitement to thinking about all of the possibilities that we'll be coming into, and there's a lot. Sounds like there's a lot of good ideas with pods, and excited about the some of the community building opportunities coming forward too. I will go down to Sarah next.
Typing something you'll see in the chat in a second. I'm excited to see new people as well. And I'm sorry, what was the other thing, Alicia?
Just check out like what something you're left with, something you're looking forward to.
I'm like, I get teary around all kinds of ridiculous things related to school. I got teary about thinking about kids all having a t-shirt. I just, I'm really looking forward to having the school year start and finding whatever ways we can to support our kids and us as parents in feeling connected to each other. This is really hard. So I'm glad for this opportunity to connect with some of you.
Thanks. We'll move over to Renee.
I'm gonna say I am, it's unfortunate that this year is starting as distance learning. I was so looking forward to this year because we will be switching schools next year. My family has been a part of Bancroft. This is the 8th year, and we will be a part of elementary for 4 more years, but we'll have to be switching. And so that's a bummer. But because of that, I don't think I'd want to take one of the positions, but I'd be happy to be involved with it. So I guess that's all.
Thanks. Melissa, do you mind going next?
Sure. I'm excited to be here, and I was glad I got to echo what Sarah was saying. I was a kid who didn't have spirit gear, so I love the idea of all the kids getting something. I hope we can build some connections in this strange time.
Thanks. Eduardo?
By now in this year, it's kind of nothing surprising. I just roll with it. Everything's daunting, and but no, I really like trying to find a role through the people here on the PTO, but other folks that I know kind of like us want to help connect families and support a lot of the ones that we know are going to be struggling with connecting with, I don't know, keeping up with school. So glad we're here.
Vipal?
About the things that I'm not certain about that's coming up this year. And I've been introducing my son to camping. We've been camping for a couple of summers now, and the idea that we don't know what we're going to face, but let's pack stuff that we need. So I'm excited because PTO is like my backpack. And so the things I'm doing here is going to help me feel a little bit better about the things that I don't know are coming down the line. That's where I'm at.
Thanks. We'll go down to, is it Tana? Did I say that right?
That's right. I feel a little bit more connected to school right now than I did in the spring. So it gives me a little better feeling getting my kid excited if I can. It's hard to get her excited about this, but as best I can. So thanks.
Thanks. We'll go to Lauren.
I'm excited about the idea of the pods and the connecting the other families. I'm really excited about because we're a new kindergarten family and we don't have a lot of young families in our immediate neighborhood. So I'm excited about that, or even, even the different possibilities of even like, an outside pod or something like that. Sounds really great for socializing and things like that. So thanks for having me here.
Great, thanks. Erin?
Thanks for organizing it and setting it up. I guess I also feel a little more connected. I'm having a difficult time like thinking about the school year ahead. My kids had I think it was just hard in the spring. So like anticipating some of that again. So this is helpful. Thank you.
Thanks. Jason, I don't know if you get your microphone working or not.
Did. Sorry about that earlier. It was right when I hit enable audio microphone on the setting, it disconnected me and I had to start over. So sorry about that. I guess I'm encouraged by the dialogue here about how many people really care about the broader community and the community building that might come from it, and encouraged when it's difficult to be encouraged.
Thanks. Michael. Michael Neaton, or the person on the phone does not have a name.
Oh, that's me. It's Rob.
Oh,
sorry.
okay, Rob. Okay.
Audio connection ended up being the only Zoom access I had. How do I feel? It's like, I guess I'm excited in a way because we're just a few days out from teasing out and kind of revealing what's behind this sort of ambiguity of what the school year really holds in terms of distance learning. As much as there's been more engagement over the last couple of weeks, I still feel like there's just so many questions and uncertainty about like what's it going to be like this fall. And I guess the optimist in me thinks that it has to be better than something that was like thrown together on the fly in a little over 2 weeks. So with that in mind, I'm also thinking optimistically about this group as one that I do think has some really intelligent and experienced and well-connected people who want to essentially improve on all of those things, and that once we have more information, our ability to kind of recognize opportunities to augment and in other ways like improve upon the experience that our kids are having through distance learning this fall or hybrid learning in the winter or the spring. I'm being very optimistic here. That will reveal itself, and we'll be able to kind of rise to that occasion. So looking forward to the ways in which we can help our kids get through this more, not just more easily, but maybe even in a kind of novel and effective way. So.
Thanks for sharing. And just a shout out, I don't know if anybody, Sarah or Paul, if you remember what the next date of our next PTO meeting is. I don't remember. I don't know. I think it's going to be definitely in September. And I will let everyone know.
I didn't know we said it. I know we did talk about during the first few weeks of school working, and I think we'll just have to follow up with Diego and the teachers about what's possible, trying to have some forums, online forums, maybe by grade.
Oh, that's right.
Where people could do kind of a Q&A, and it would be an opportunity to make the ask for whatever, the directory, the pods, anything, just to like pitch that people share their contact information and that we think about how to support each other as families. And so I think we need some follow-up with them, and then we should just get on a, you know, pick a week, I think, and get on a regular schedule. So I guess I don't think we have one set yet, but I wonder about like 3 weeks into school.
I think that honestly sounds about right. We usually do the last Monday of the month or second to the last Monday of the month or something like that, which would put us at either the 21st or the 28th. And we'll probably do this awkward time between 5 and 7, even though it's dinner time. We don't have anything to provide for anybody, need childcare or food, but we're just gonna make it try to work. But if there's some other ideas, definitely open to them. This is not set in stone, and I think we'll just have to be a little flexible and make sure we're bringing folks along. But I dub the if we don't meet in person in the next 3 weeks, but there is an opportunity to engage in another parent forum, like a third grade or second grade or first grade group, please talk about PTO, what you thought about today, and invite other families so that they know they can get involved. We're going to try to keep our Facebook updated, and there's also the PTO email list. So if we'll just kind of watching those to help engage parents so that they can be on future meetings like that. So thank you, everyone. I want to make sure I respect your time. If there's anything, feel free to reach out, and we'll see you. Good luck with first start of school, and we'll see you when we do.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Alicia.
everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.